What tenants don't know is that when you re-sign your lease, that landlord can then increase your rent in that, because they still allow between the preferential rent and the legal rent, there's what you call that preferential discount. They can raise the rent. And what's happening is many of our tenants are being priced out because of that bump. Disabled individual was forced to move when his preferential rent was raised from what was then a manageable $503 a month. The legal rent went to the legal maximum rent. So the landlord went from $503, the legal rent was $1,650. That was a 228% increase. And it forced this man, who will remain nameless, to relocate. The average between the preferential rent and the legal rent in the Bronx is $307. In Brooklyn, it's $303. In Manhattan, it's $453. In Queens, it's $354. And in Staten Island, it's $423. We want to make sure that if any landlords are harassing tenants because they feel they're licking their chops, and they feel that because there's been development in the areas where they have their properties, they can now get that legal rent, those landlords should be held accountable, and there should be repercussion. But we also understand that there are landlords in the city of New York who are small business owners. So preferential rents kick in when you have 6 units or more. We need to protect the tenants, and if that means providing a tax incentive for the property owners, then we should do that so that they can keep the preferential rents. But what's happening is that the tenants are going into these apartments. They think they believing that they're rent stabilized, and then the landlord in the next lease in the next lease, they go above and beyond. Again, on average in the Bronx, and the report speaks to that, in different boroughs, you see that the difference, that discount between legal rent and preferential rent is hundreds of dollars. It is for too many New Yorkers to be told that you're going to start paying $100, $200, $400 more than you did the previous year for rent, when you're supposed to be in a stabilized apartment. That's the reason why so many people are being displaced. I think that you can look at the amount of people that are going into the shelter system. So many of them are going in because of that. And so when we say, oh, homelessness is on the rise, and that's because people can't afford their rent. Quite often we think about market rents, we think about private ownership. A lot of times we're missing the point that there are 160,000 units that are supposed to be subsidized, and that folks are being forced out of them and going into the shelter system. That's the reason why we see so many folks in our shelter system as well. It's increasing frequently. The problem is getting worse. It is a crisis. And again, I was up in Albany 7 terms. So I know that whenever you want to make something a priority in the legislature, now is the time. You don't wait until session begins. Those who live in stabilized units is that they should be mindful that when they sign this lease, and so many of them don't read the fine print. The takeaway is to be mindful that at any leasing agreement, the following lease signing, that your rents could go up. So please join me in this campaign to make sure that we resolve this before you get caught off guard.